Livezey, Vice President of Finance and Supply Chain for Full Compass Systems, and Rebecca Haerter, Director of Supply Chain for Full Compass Systems. Both are winners of this year's Women in supply chain award presented by Supply and Demand Chain Executive. Chris and Rebecca, first off, congratulations on this win. Thank you for joining us today. So Chris,
thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm very excited for both of you. This is such a great honor for both of you. So Chris, I'm going to kind of kick things off with you first. If you can kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, the company, kind of your role, and kind of what got you to this point in time in your career.
Sure. So without going too far back, I do have a BS in electrical engineering and an MBA in finance. So I'm kind of the numbers person, right? And so I've been with Full Compass for almost 14 years, started out in accounting. And about 5 years ago was presented with the opportunity to start managing purchasing, which is what we called it kind of back in the day. So came into kind of a situation where unorganized, we just had people buying whatever from sheets of paper and Excel spreadsheets. And we said, and I thought to myself, I think that there's a better way to do this. And kind of from my engineering days, I'm a process person. You'll hear Rebecca and I kind of talk a little bit about that today, is we're very process oriented. So I talked to a couple of our manufacturer partners and I said, okay, how can we be doing this better? Because remember, I am not a trained, born and bred supply chain professional. So, I needed to kind of rely on some other people to help me understand how can we elevate a purchasing team to become a supply chain team. So about 5 years ago, we started making some changes, right? We formed category teams, which was the first of its kind at our organization to say, oh, hey, let's create teams of people to focus on categories of our product. So audio, video, lighting, and we'll talk a little bit more about Full Compass as we go. But so we formed these teams, and the teams comprised of an individual from purchasing, a merchandiser, and product information management. And what our goal was to really have these teams focusing on their products, understanding their side of the business. We actually even moved them all to sit together, right? So this was a big part of kind of where we were headed. Was it, Rebecca, 2 or 3 years ago? I think you're tenure now. So yes. We got to a point where I felt that my skills in doing what I could do for Full Compass and for our team, I had kind of reached a max. I just didn't know what to do next, right? And so I just felt it was time that we hired a true professional in supply chain. And I can't say it enough, and I tell her all the time, which is why she's laughing right now. I am so blessed and thankful that Rebecca fell into our lap, and she has kind of elevated this team from we were purchasing to we are now operating as a supply chain team. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that, she's here. She knows her stuff. And I think what I can say about the two of us is what we bring to the table is we tie the organization together with the finance and the supply chain. Because if you think about it, and this is what we've even had to tell our teams, we are as important as the sales staff. If we don't have the right product at the right time, we can't make those customer sales, right? So we've had to even elevate our teams to understand how important they are to the organization. So I'm going to leave it at that and kind of let Rebecca talk a little bit about, her background and what brought her to Full Compass.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Rebecca Haerter, as she's mentioned already, and I have about 25-ish years of experience in supply chain, and it ranges from smaller privately held companies to Fortune 500 companies. So I have the experience and the fortune of being able to take that experience of making decisions and going in a privately held company to big process-driven decisions, very strategic, 5-year, 6-year, 7-year vendor plans, company plans, and driving that home to our teams. My background really, truly, I am not an engineer like Chris by any means, but I am very process oriented. I love process. And I think that's really beneficial when it comes to supply chain, as I believe supply chain is truly the conduit that connects all departments. It's very cross-functional. You know, it's concept to customer. It's one of those things where you have the idea, it starts here, and how do we get it to fruition and bring that cash register and make our customers happy. And as Chris mentioned, it's a lot about having the right product at the right place at the right time, kind of basic retail. But it seems basic, but it can be hard and challenging, especially in the environment we're in today. I do come from a background, education-wise, from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in retail, wholesale, distribution, management. It's a degree from a long time ago, but I actually landed in the field that I love. I love supply chain so much. I am truly passionate about this industry. I love women in this industry. It tends to be at times a little more, it leans a little more towards outside of our gender. So anything we can do to get women in supply chain, I think it's fantastic. It's a great, you get to blend your creative skills along with your analytical skills, and how do you become very strategic in what you do and planful, and making sure you have not only plans, but exit strategies when those plans don't happen, and you're proactive as well as reacting as business is happening and things are changing and moving. You have to be able to move and groove with what's happening. You're going to get left behind and you'll lose sales and lose margin. And I think Chris nailed it on the head. Tying out the financials with the supply chain is absolutely imperative. You have to be able to pivot and make sure you have the finances to do what you need to do. And I am so fortunate to be able to work for Chris, and to be able to have her partnership and her support, and to be able to work for an organization like Full Compass Systems that is just, they allow us to do what we need to do, and we have the checks and balances in place, and to drive the business. And that's ultimately what it is.
Yeah, a little bit about Full Compass, because I know that was kind of part of the question, if I can just jump back to that. So Full Compass is a retailer of professional audio, video, lighting, and musical instruments. We've been around for over 40 years. So, you know, we always feel like, wow, 40 years, that's a long time to be in this industry. So we really know, we know our business, and we love it. And something I think is really interesting to promote to you about Full Compass is it's women owned. So Susan Lip is the primary owner of Full Compass. We have another vice president at the table of sales who is also female. So we're not female male oriented. It's just, you know, that's a culture that we have in the entire organization. So
you bring up some good points. You know, supply chain industry has kind of traditionally been that male dominated industry. You know, kind of what has it been like for you in your career, you know, being a woman in a traditionally male dominated industry?
Can we take that one? I'll start. You know, I try to look at it, honestly, I look at it very objectively, and I don't look at myself as a woman in supply chain. I look at it as, I'm a person in supply chain, and I try to objectively look at it as, I don't see male or female. I see people who are successful, people who bring a lot to the table, that have a lot bigger, better experiences than I do, and some that don't have the experiences that I do. And to me, it's about collaboration. And when we work together, and I think we kind of break down those barriers, then we don't have those barriers any longer, and we get people more involved in it. The one thing I would say is I see that, I think, and I've spoken at University of Wisconsin-Marquette, specifically on women in supply chain. I try to tell people that it's really about making sure that it's not just this numbers driven piece of the information. It's very right brain, left brain. And I know sometimes people tend to be like, I want to be in that fashion industry and retail and all exciting, and supply chain is part of that, and it's so exciting, and you get to the best of both worlds. I get the awesome experience of being with my boss, Cristin Livezey, and doing financials. I do our budgets, I do our open to buy. I love that piece of it. but I also get to work with our merchant teams. They're fantastic. Our team is amazing. They know the product. They educate me on things that are the latest, greatest, while I'm over in the financial side. So I get to blend both of those things. And I don't, like I said, I don't see a gender at all. And our teams in our industry don't see gender either that I work with. And I think they're just fantastic.
Yeah, Rebecca and I try our best to elevate. I mean, we try to elevate people, right? We try to educate our team to move everybody forward. And you know, coming from engineering, electrical engineering specifically, and I worked for Kraft way back in the day, and that was a pretty harsh male environment, right? And so, you know, I agree with Rebecca wholeheartedly, is that to me, it's more of, you know, who wants to learn? Who wants to educate themselves? Who wants to kind of work with us to move this whole, you know, what I call supply chain department forward, right? And so, you know, I agree with Rebecca. It's kind of the skill level more than you're female, you're male. What I believe there's a bit of a shortage of women out there doing what we do, right? And had the same experience in engineering. There was one of two female that graduated electrical engineering when I did. There just isn't the population of women coming into this role. And so I think, you know, to me, it becomes, how do we get more women wanting to do this, wanting to go to college for supply chain, or wanting to go to college in engineering, pick, you know, what is traditionally a male dominated type role. And how do we educate them? You know, how do we say, this is what supply chain is, and it's exciting, right? And so that they're more educated to make that choice. I think, and that to me is, then you get a bigger pool of people in this industry, you know, doing what we do. And so that to me is really Lance. I agree. I don't think we pinpoint it's female, it's male, or it's just the pool of availability of candidates, you know, when we go to hire. So yeah.
So what advice do you have for those like first starting out in our industry, or even maybe on the fence about even becoming a part of our industry?
So, and it's funny, so I have a daughter who is in a different field, but I kind of give her the same advice. Try a lot of different things. And I always say, you're going to go up a spiral of your career, right? And at the end, after you've done a number of different things, you're going to reach this point where hopefully along the way, you're learning what it is that you enjoy to do. Rebecca and I are kind of reaching that point where I love what I do. I know she loves what she does, right? But we've done a lot of different things, right? So to me, get the education and take on different roles. I mean, do some stuff in the distribution center, do a few things, and I'm not saying job hop, but be open to what is supply chain, exposing yourself to all those different things, so that at the end of the day, my message to my daughter and to other younger folks coming up is, don't let anyone tell you can't do something because you don't have the experience. Because if you follow this routine up to get to the top, if you've done all these experiences, no one's going to say, oh, I would give you this promotion if you only had a little bit of this experience. So that to me is it's the education. It's taking on different roles early in your career when you still have the opportunity to do so.
I would agree. I think, you know, for me, the advice I would give, and, you know, I get that when I'm interviewing candidates for to be members of our supply chain team, ask the question, why? What if? What if we did it this way? What if we did it that way? What if we got this team involved and that team involved and we work together? And look at the results that we can get when we work together. And don't ever let anybody tell you, you know, when you ask, you know, why do we do things the way we do them? Listen, be open to listen. We did things for a reason in the past, historically, why we did them, but listen to, maybe there's a better way of doing it. And don't get stuck in that rut of, well, that's just the way we used to do things. Think about, be innovative, be on the edge and the forefront of strategies and innovation. And, you know, when you look at it, it really truly is, you know, again, just being inquisitive and get yourself outside of your comfort zone. You know, do I know a lot about the, you know, certain aspects of our business, like web development? I I don't. I'll be honest, I don't. I just know it works fantastic, and there's wonderful people out there who make our web awesome. But I have to at least have a baseline knowledge, and I throw myself into areas that I'm a little uncomfortable with, because that's how I can grow, and that's how others can grow. And I know then what I do and what my teams do impact what they do. And it's all about cross-functional. And as Chris said, don't limit yourself. Don't put blinders on. Don't get in a silo. Go be linear. Don't always be just vertical. Move back and forth, get experiences in many different areas, because at the end of the day, supply chain touches every single component in the organization. As much as you don't think it does, it really does. And how do you get things here faster, better? How do you resource things? And how do you get them through the warehouse efficiently for our warehouse teams? And then, oh, by the way, don't forget about your partner, your vendor partners. We need to help them become efficient as well, so they can get our product out much faster. So everything you do and every area you touch is truly supply chain. So don't limit yourself. I think really, go ahead, Chris.
I said, we walk the walk on that, right? So last week, I kid you not, I was in Rebecca's office and she said, you know what? We need everyone in supply chain to sit with accounts payable and understand what they're going through, and vice versa. Just last week. So while we can sit here and say these things, we're walking these things, right? We're doing these things. And we just feel, you know, that just elevates the team to understand, you know, everyone else's pieces to the puzzle.
It also generates a lot of ideas, and we have come up with some fantastic ideas, just cross-functional partnership. You know, I look at supply chain, to me, it's supply chain / cross-functional teams. So it's because I can't make our organization better all by myself. I have to have my teams, other teams, our Chris's team and my teams, all of our teams together. We work to come up with the best solutions. And all of a sudden, somebody who's a little quieter in the team, you give them the forum to be able to speak up, and they're like, well, I have an idea, and I'm not sure if it'll stick or not. And it might not be the exact right idea, but it brainstorms into newer ideas. And you're like, hey, that's a great idea, but what about a little twist on this? And then, oh, we need AP's input on this, or the pricing team's input on this. And how do we make it work faster and better for our organization? And ultimately, you know, supply chain's internal customers, which are truly our sales teams, whose ultimate customer for our entire organization is our customers, our outside customers.
I love all that, and I can definitely tell the synergy between you two, which I think is very admirable. So
energy too, right?
if anybody wants advice,
work very
just watch
well
this
together.
video.
We're very passionate about what we do.
Yes.
So speaking of passion, how does it feel to be named one of Supply and Demand Chain Executive's top women in supply chain?
It was, I mean, first of all, you know, we have to do a call out to John Galt for.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, you know, when they first approached us, and it's weird, and maybe this is I hate to even use the term female or male or thing, but we were a little like, oh, really? Are you sure? You know, I mean, questioning, you know, rather than saying, well, thank you very much. So we were certainly honored, and you know, and then when they told us about it, I mean, I was just like sitting there kind of stunned. I mean, you know, okay, we put our names in, and you know, we don't know if there's thousands of people, and then when we were so fortunate to get the news that both of us had been chosen, I mean, I mean, I'm so proud, I'm so happy, I'm humbled, and just excited to tell our story, excited to, you know, Full Compass again has been around for 40 years, to kind of promote them along with us and our backgrounds is just great. I mean, I don't know really how else to really put it. It's been fantastic.
I echo Chris's sentiments as well. I think, you know, it's very, very humbling. Neither Chris or I are very much of a self-promoter, in my opinion. I don't think we shout out all of our accomplishments. We're very humble. We're very quick, though, I will say, to shout out any of our teams or any cross-functional teams' accomplishments. So to be honored amongst our peers, and to be honored by John Galt as being nominated. It's fantastic. It really is. It's exciting to be able to do the things we do. You know, to have owners, Jonathan and Susan Liv, are just fantastic, and they allow us to do what we can do to help elevate our company and our teams and cross-functional teams is really, really a big deal, because I've been in organizations that, you know, the executive team doesn't allow you to do the things you need to do. So we're very, very fortunate in that respect. And I have to say, you know, Chris, she allows me to do what I do. Sometimes it's a little crazy, and I was running there, I'm like, hey, I got a crazy idea again. And she's like, well, let's hear it. And she's like, that's a crazy one. We're not doing that. But we'll take a piece of it. And right. And, you know, one of the things I would say too is, you know, when we were told this, I'm like, they're honoring us for doing what we love.
Yeah.
It just seems we're just doing what we do, and we love doing it. So I think that's the exciting part, is we're being honored for something that we absolutely love to do,
and
day in and day out.
You can tell our energy kind of coming off each other. I mean, it's so great to do it together. And I know I speak for both of us that we wouldn't be here without the team of people that we work with. And that's very, very important that we get that in this video, because our team is fantastic, and they work really hard. We made this change with COVID, and they just rose to the occasion, and we're so fortunate to, you know, have the talent that we do in our department, and, you know, the support, and we do what we can to kind of elevate them, and it's been very, very cohesive. So we are blessed to have the people that we do in our department, and certainly would not be here without them.
I completely agree. I think, you know,
Continue.
I think, you know, she's absolutely right. It's both of our teams that work well together, our supply chain team, our accounting team, and then our cross-functional teams that work day in and day out tirelessly for us. They give us 150% all the time. They're willing to adapt to change. The support of our teams make it all possible.
Well, thank you both for doing what you do. Thank you for your teams and your companies for doing what you do and keeping product moving through the supply chain. I almost kind of want to be invited to one of your team meetings, just because your energy is so infectious. It sounds way more exciting than my team meetings.
Yeah, you should see us get going on something for sure.
I'll just be a fly on the wall.
A lot of energy.
I love it. We have Cristin Livezey, Vice President of Finance and Supply Chain for Full Compass Systems, and Rebecca Haerter, Director of Supply Chain for Full Compass Systems, both recipients of Supply and Demand Chain Executives Women in Supply Chain Award. So to learn more about Chris and Rebecca, go to stcexec.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.